Episode 23 of Dan Mathews and the Animals. What's going on, everybody? I, of course, am Dan Mathews. He right there is the animal. He is Matt Maltepes. It is a beautiful day, so I decided to make this an outside game today. So I came out here to record episode 23, the Jordan episode of our first season of doing this. And Matt, I mean, it's a beautiful day out here. They say the rain is coming, and then it's going to be in the low 60s, high 50s. It's not quite down, batten down the hatches cold down here, but the pullovers definitely come out a little bit more when that happens. And, it's not 80 plus degrees in November at that time. But still, while I can still wear shorts and a T-shirt outside, I do it. So here I am.
Yeah, man, it's a beautiful day to be live. Always is. It's always an amazing day. It's not too bad over here in Philadelphia, honestly. I know it's November, but, other years it's been snowing in November right now. It's looking like 60, 57, so not too bad. It's a beautiful day.
I was going to say, that's a Chamber of Commerce day up there, isn't it?
Yeah. Can't complain, man. You
you
got to take it in stride.
That's it. That's how we do things around here. All right. So like I said, it's kind of like a no-hitter. You don't talk about it too much. You just keep it going. But we've been on a good little run right here. So let's keep it going this weekend. We're going to go through 4 games today. We're going to go through Tennessee, Missouri, Georgia-Ole Miss, Washington, Utah, and then we're going to cap it off with the game of the weekend. It is a huge Big Ten battle up there in Happy Valley, not too far from where Matt is, as it'll be Michigan taking on Penn State. So let's go ahead and start it off, Matt. Let's start first with an SEC tilt that had opened, I believe, at 1 for Tennessee. Now it has gotten to Tennessee -2 there on the road at MIZ. ZOU taking on Missouri. Money line, if you want to go that, for Missouri at home. I mean, they played Georgia tough last week. It could be a good bet for you. Plus 105, so a little bit of value there if you want to go that route. The over-under for this one at 58 and a hook. Matt, how are we reading this?
Yeah, right from the gate, when I looked at this Tennessee team, I noticed that they've struggled on the road. I mean, they lost to Florida by 13 points. They lost to Alabama by 14. Then they had a difficult time against Kentucky, even though they won that one. This week, I think, might be just as tough for Tennessee, considering Missouri almost took out Georgia last week. On top of that, when it comes to common opponents, both teams are 2-0 against those teams. But like I said, Tennessee has had a very difficult time with Kentucky, while Missouri crushed them by 17, and they were on the road. So Missouri's beaten Kansas State, and they almost took out LSU as well. So when we look at the strength of schedule thus far, I mean, I believe Missouri's had a tougher strength of schedule. Both teams come into this game 6-3 against the spread. But two of the 3 losses against the spread for Tennessee come on the road. I mean, I have to lean in Missouri plus a 2 year. I haven't bet anything. I'm hoping I can snatch it 3 at a decent price. So if it gets close to 3, I'll be snatching that 3.
There you go. So like in Mizzou, and, I'm with you on it as well. I mean, kind of for everything that you just said right there. I mean, Tennessee not only has struggled on the road, but Missouri has played some good football. They're there. That can be a good atmosphere for Missouri, as they've been able to knock off some teams there, as you even just mentioned this year. But also, too, I mean, for Tennessee, in a weird way, could this kind of be a trap game with what's ahead next week against Georgia as well? So I think that kind of enters into the equation. I mean, I know that you said you hadn't placed any money on this yet, but if you're going to go the 2, wouldn't it kind of behoove you to go the money line as well to kind of compound it a little bit?
Well, I mean, it depends on what the money line price is. The numbers of 1 and 2 really don't offer much value. Sometimes you're better off probably just going money line. But you'd have to check the number and see how much the points are worth, and then make your decision based off that.
There you go. All right, so leaning at Mizzou plus 2 for this one. Game that's going to be a little bit later on in the afternoon as well. It's going to be Ole Miss at Georgia. And for this one, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think Georgia was at least getting up to about 13 or so. I could be wrong on that, but it is rested as we record this right now on a Thursday at Georgia -10.5. Ole Miss plus 350 on the money line and the over-under for this one is a flat 58. Matt, tell me if I'm wrong here. I think a lot of people are riding Ole Miss for this one, especially with the tough game that Georgia played last week, and how Ole Miss comes into this one after beating Texas A&M last week.
Yeah, Ole Miss comes in this game. I mean, they're 6-2-1 against the spread, which is tied for 11th best in the nation with a 15.9 point margin of victory. Pretty damn good. Georgia, on the other hand, has been the exact opposite. They come into this one tied for the 4th worst against the spread record in the nation. But what's funny is they still have the 5th best margin of victory in the nation. Both teams have had 2 common opponents so far in Auburn and Vanderbilt. Both teams beat Auburn by 7, while Ole Miss beat Vanderbilt by 9 more points than Georgia did. But, Ole Miss was home. When it comes to schedule, Ole Miss, according to my ranking, has had a top 10 hardest schedule in the nation thus far, while Georgia's, it ranks worse than 50th. It's actually closer to 100. So before last week's game against Missouri, Georgia had versus defenses with an average of 93rd rank in sack percentage in the nation. That means to me that Carson Beck has not been truly tested yet this year against a real defensive front. Now this week they versus Ole Miss. And Ole Miss, they rank 8th in the nation in sack percentage. So they have a good defensive line over there in Mississippi. Missouri last week was the best team. This Georgia team had played in the yards per play metric, opponent yards per play metric, and sack percentage metric. And guess what? And that was by far and wide margin. But when we look at Ole Miss is better than Missouri in every single one of those metrics while having a top 5 hardest schedule in the nation, top 10 hardest schedule. And you're telling me I can take them as 10-point dogs? I love Mississippi here. Add in the fact that Rebels are a run-heavy team. The Bulldogs' defense is ranked better in the opponent yards per completion metric rather than opponent yards per rush. I think this matchup suits the Rebels, and I bet them first half plus the 7. You can catch plus 7 right now, and I also bet on full game plus the 11.
So plus 7 there for the first half, and then also going plus the 10.5 for the game. So that is the play for the Ole Miss and also Georgia game in this one. All right, let's move on to Utah in Washington. Utah is a 9.5-point dog in this one. The Huskies are giving 9.5 on their home field, and also to the Utes a plus 280 on the money line there. So a little bit more value on that one if you think that the Utes can pull this off. The over-under for this one is 50. I guess that it's Vegas kind of telling you, look, porous defense last week, it played out. I mean, that was an over of all overs to take against USC. For this one, though, I mean, we know what Kyle Whittingham likes to do. He likes to slow it down. He likes to play a lot of defense, and he likes to be physical with you. And I think that's probably what they are banking on for this one.
Yeah, Washington, they come in with an 18.7-point margin of victory, which ranks 11th in the nation. Utah, on the other hand, they're 5-3-1 against the spread, 9.1 point margin of victory. Washington, when we look at their schedule, they've had the 40th hardest schedule thus far, while Utah is 25th. When Washington has been confronted with the competition, they've proven themselves with wins over Arizona State, who's given a good amount of people trouble, USC, and Caleb Williams over with that program. And their win over Oregon was the one team that absolutely demolished Utah by 30 points. When we look at that, when Utah faced top-tier offenses, their defenses struggled. They let up points. They let up, 32 points at USC. They let Oregon score 35. And I think Washington's on the same level as those offenses. I actually think they're slightly better. The only way I see Utah covering this game is if they can stop Washington from scoring and keep this a low-scoring game. But again, when they're versus these type of offenses that are top-tier, has not been proven to be the case. I don't think Utah's offense can hang around and score with this team. And, this isn't USC's abysmal defense. Now, it's not Oregon's defense either, but it's right in the middle. And I think if Washington was on the road, this might be a different story. But at home, I think it's going to be hard for Utah to cover this one. I have to actually bet Washington first half minus a 6, and I lean minus 9.5 full game.
-6 first half and minus the 9 in the overall game. So that is the play for you on this one. So a lot of first halves here in our first 3 games. We get to the game that is going to be the most watched of the weekend. That is undefeated Michigan on the road taking on one-loss Penn State. Penn State fighting for their college football playoff lives in this one. As it is a 4-point favoritism for Michigan in this one. Plus 165 for the Nittany Lions on the money line, if that's where you want to go and you want to think that maybe even though it's not a night game, because those seem like they've been the games that have gotten opponents thrown off their game a little bit there in Happy Valley. It is going to be the noon kickoff there on Fox, but plus 165 for that. The over-under is 45. I look at this one, Matt, and tell me how I'm looking at it. But, the over for that one, I understand how Penn State is, but Michigan is a team that can put up some points, and they've proven that. So that number seems a little bit low. How do you read it?
Yeah, I'm actually liking the under. But when we look at this game, Penn State, on the other hand, they come into this game with the 4th best against the spread record in the nation, while winning the 3rd best margin of victory in all of college football. Michigan, obviously, they've been amazing all year, and they have the highest margin of victory in all of college football. But Penn State also they have the 10th best against the spread plus minus. Now, Michigan has been great all year long, as I stated, but they've had an easy cupcake schedule. And to me, it's been honestly easier than Georgia's. I mean, some people have their schedule ranked worse than 100 in terms of strength of schedule, while Penn State has a top 40 schedule in terms of strength. So Penn State has had a road test against Ohio State, who I think might be better than both of these teams, honestly, if you want my honest opinion. And they did get beat, but they were able to keep it within 1 score. Another thing to note is Michigan is a top 20 team in rushing play percentage. They love to ground and pound, but Penn State's defense, to me, I mean, it's suited for it. They're the best in the nation at stop the run. They're ranked number 1 in the nation in opponent yards per rush. So I think Penn State plus 5 at home. I think that seems like the move to me if I had to bet the side, but I bet under 45 in this one.
Under 45 for this one. But you're liking, as you saw, Penn State, at least in some, at 5. That's interesting. That definitely, I mean, people say 1 point. I mean, I think that changes a lot because, I mean, you could see this game where it's a kind of, 20-17, 21-17 kind of final like that. That would hit the under, of course. But also, too, that 1 point would make a huge difference in that regard. And if that's the case, then you would definitely win that one. So those are numbers to keep an eye on for sure. All right. If you would, please like and subscribe to the channel. Of course, too, I see you drinking that coffee over there, coffee of the gods. I mean, it's all about it. What are we going, the Greek blend today? Is that what we're going?
Just got the Italian roast today.
Italian roast today.
Go to coffeeofgods.com. You can order your Italian roast. We have cold brew if you like your cold brew. Greek coffee, specialty coffees, Arabic. You got a whole bunch of different blends and flavors. So check it out.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All of the above. Love it. All right. He's Matt Maltepes. I'm Dan Mathews. It's been episode 23 of Dan Mathews and the Animals. Good luck this weekend. Hopefully it's a profitable weekend. And of course, you know how we do things around here. On Tuesday, we will be back. We'll recap the action that was and then get you ready for Thursday to get you ready for next weekend. Again, I'm Dan Mathews. He's Matt Maltepes. Everybody have a good weekend.